Hi, I'm Turk Strongman at Thuranki Ramacharaka. Thank you for selecting this video on how to root your appreciation for your mate and your adoration for your mate in something other than lust. Before starting, if by the end of this you like the video, please give it a thumb up. Please also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Activate the notification bell. Share the joy of the channel with others, and comment if you like. Those things having been humbly requested. Now, how to root your appreciation and adoration, men especially, for your female mates, for your women, in something other than lust. Recently, I created and posted a video, at least for now, called Men Express Appreciation and Adoration for Your Women. Now the question may arise, the one which is our topic here. But, in other words, like fine and dandy, but how can we make sure that that appreciation that we are expressing and showing to our women, to the woman in my life, let's say, is something other than lust, something perhaps of a bit higher frequency than just lust. And this may especially be applicable to young men. The younger, the more lustful, perhaps, as a general statement. Excuse me. All right. Addressing the question. Well, first of all, in that video, my prior video to which I just referred, I didn't address whether the appreciation and adoration are rooted in lust or otherwise. For a young male, see, that video, that topic was addressing males, showing appreciation and adoration for the woman in your life. For a young male, it may just be largely focused, or that appreciation may be coming from a lustful state of affairs. And I'm going to stick my neck out here and say, for a young male, that's probably okay. I mean, that's kind of where it starts, I think. Sexual energy is a major drive, a major thing, especially in young males. Let's just make a little side note of a sort here and talk about what attraction is. Attraction. Well, in the spiritual plane, it's love. All right? Spiritually, that which attracts rather than pushes away is spiritually, it's love. All right? In the mental plane, it's attraction. We refer to the law of attraction. It's the same basic thing going on. It's attraction rather than repulsion. At the chemical level, it's called affinity. Chemical affinity. Same thing going on. What's being invoked here in my explanation right now is the metaphysical law of analogy at work, correspondence among planes. And at different levels or different planes of activity, I'm saying that in one case we call it love, in another case we call it attraction, and in another case, and at another plane, we call it affinity. Same thing going on. Now, What is one of the primary reasons why males and females of a species get together? Whether they get together during mating season or just during mating season, a one-time thing, as in the case of domestic cats, let's say, or whether it's a lifetime partnership. What's one of the main reasons for it in nature? Propagation of the species. And if it weren't for the hormones, if it weren't for the chemical affinity going on, which inwardly we may perceive as love, but if it wasn't for that chemical affinity going on, a hormonal thing regarding preservation of the species, propagation of the species, then, well, the species may not get propagated. So, lust has its rightful place in a young man's heart, let's say, with regard to his female mate, with regard to his attraction, which he may express appreciatively, and with statements and actions that involve adoration, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's something natural about that. What's important, though, if that is the case, if and when that is the case, is to what extent and whether it stays like that for the young man through his maturing years, or does it develop? Okay. To what extent? Okay. Well, now, let's just say a young man wants to ground his appreciation and his adoration in more than just the lust. While the lust has a stronghold in his life with respect to this adoration and appreciation. What if he wants to have it be more than that, but understands that it's okay for it to be that too? But he wants more. He wants to grow. He wants to go like into the higher planes of higher vibration and draw from those with respect to the appreciation and adoration. Okay, well, there are some ways to do that, and that's what the question asks for. So here's one. This one's probably not going to go over very well with anybody. And even if it goes over pretty okay with the male involved, might not go over pretty okay with the female involved. But lust gets, in the least, it functions to get the job done, creating offspring. It functions to get that done. All right. But what is that job? What is that procreative act's job? It is propagation. It's not recreation. The whole sex act thing, all of that lust, it's geared naturally. Yes, it's geared up naturally, but its nature is for purposes of procreation, not recreation. So, unfortunately, the fact of the matter is, the more sexual activity or lust as is carried out physically among two people for purposes of recreation, the more likely it is to be the case that appreciation and adoration, expressions of those, and the emotional states that go with those two things, or that those two things are, is going to be grounded in lust. Because one is carrying out to a somewhat unnatural measure the whole thing that focuses on, that stems in lust. So one is reinforcing the lust, perhaps disproportionately with what nature intends. All right. So maybe it's a good idea, young men especially, to go against what you're socially, at least socially induced notions are about sexual activity. Maybe cut back on the recreational sex. Try to go about it for purposes of procreation more than you do for purposes of recreation. Cut back, maybe cut it out, but is your mate going to stick around? Maybe not. The point here, the immediate point here is try to get a mutual understanding and a mutual desire with your mate along these lines. You know, sex for recreational purposes does a lot of things for the false ego, for the person's metabolism, and so forth. But yes, but nobody's going to die due to cutting back on or eliminating sex for the purpose of recreation. Nobody's going to die from that. And I think that people have been given the idea by the medical and psychological industries, especially, that a healthy sex life leads to a healthy life. It has to do. It's a quality of life thing. Probably makes you live longer. I've heard that, sure, but that might be over-exaggerated or misunderstood or misconstrued. First of all, what do we mean by a healthy sex life? What they usually mean, and those who pontificate this bit of wisdom or pseudo-wisdom, is an active sex life. But they're not saying for recreation or procreation. They're just leaving that out and leaving that up to you. All right, well, so you come up with your own definition of healthy sex life. Is sex for the purpose of recreation healthy? Well, it runs against the intentions of nature. It becomes an unnatural thing rather than a natural thing, because the natural thing is procreation. And when we go against nature, we make a mistake. And problems ensue. Problems in the relationship, for example. It can come down to, as all men know, the woman, the female, using sex for leverage in the relationship. Well, that's an unhealthy thing. And that comes from largely the recreational side of sex rather than the procreational. If the recreational side of it loses importance in the relationship, then there's less leverage. Now, that's not what the whole point here is. No. That's an example of how problems can come from running against nature. And when there's this ongoing expectation of recreational sex, and then there's a lack of it for whatever reason, it can be very upsetting in the relationship. Yes, I'm not getting what I need. She's not taking care of my sexual needs. He's not taking care of my sexual needs. But are they needs? Just a moment. Oh, geez. On my wife here. Now, okay, speaking of my wife, let me give you an example. A personal example. Maybe TMI for you, too much information for you, but it's important here. It's going to serve a purpose. My wife and I don't have sex. Now, there are reasons for that. Like, she's 34, I'm 64. Sex at this point in my life hurts my back. Most sexual positions just hurt my back. And I have emphysema too. You know, I lose my breath. I just about can't make it, you know? And it's painful. There are some other reasons. For example, I understand, so does my wife, that sex is really not for recreation after all. It's for procreation. And we're not out to have offspring together. So, there's no sex. It doesn't happen. However, my wife is saying them right here, Allie,
yeah.
Do I daily show you appreciation and adoration?
Yes.
Louder?
Yes, you do.
Is it obvious?
Yes.
Does it impact you in that wonderful and positive way that you would expect it to?
Yes, it does.
Okay, there you have it, guys. And there's no sexual activity involved. Not the sex act, you know, not intercourse. That's just not there for us. Okay, so look, is my adoration and appreciation rooted in lust? It's not. No, it's there without carrying out lust. And I'm not, you know, she and I have practiced with this for enough years now that, I mean, I'm not walking around with lustful feelings, just not carrying them out. I'm just not having them much. Do you experience lust around me much? Or anybody, really?
Not really.
Not really? This is what I'm saying about me. Not really. Not really. But there's appreciation.
Yes.
And there's adoration. Do you respect me?
Yeah.
And you express that. I feel it.
Yeah.
She respects me. You know, and I adore her. Okay, so if you're younger, I'm not saying young guys, young women, don't excuse me, unless it's to have a baby. I'm saying change your attitude about it and change your behavior in accordance with that. To some extent. In other words, maintain some self-control. What's this have to do with self-mastery? Well, self-control for one. Personal evolvement. And then, as this point of view is adopted and acted upon to a greater extent than if you hadn't thought of this or hadn't seen this video or heard this video, then you're making steps toward maturation in your life, toward a greater fulfillment, toward a greater expression of, a greater experience of, non-lust grounded appreciation and adoration. All right. So there's one thing, you know, grasp, comprehend what nature has, you know, the direction of nature with respect to what attraction is and what lust is, you know, that chemical affinity that's going on in humans. When a young man first sees a young lady, a young woman who looks pretty damn good, it's that physical appearance largely that catches the attention right off the bat. You know, the human female body is, let's face it, biologically, the human female, biologically, the body is, as an object, is a sexual one. The parts stick out in all the right places, and they get attention. The butt, the boobs, come on. The hair, the face, the characteristics physically. What fires up a young man's hormones first is those things. All right. So, yeah. But now let's say you want to move beyond that. I've given you one method here, one underlying method. Now, what's another? The heart mood. I'm going to end this video really soon here because it's going on for 20 minutes. The heart mood. Look for my video on the heart mood and how to create it and act from it. Currently, the thumbnail shows a picture of a Sasquatch, and the caption on the thumbnail says something like, "Get into your heart or go down like the dodo." And the name of the video is The Heart Mood? Question mark. Here's how. So refer to that video and practice the heart mood, because the heart mood has everything to do with appreciation and getting it to be the genuine thing. Appreciation from the heart rather than from the balls. All right? So look at that. That's part of the answer to this question, to the question posed in this video right here. Now, this has been a casual, informal video, no script, winging it, making it up as I go. And that's what I have so far on this subject as answer to that question. Now, stay tuned to this channel. There may be more along this line, but I don't have it in mind to make more at the moment. But like this video if you liked it, and do the rest, please, that I asked right up front. And remember, you heard it here on Transcend. I'm Turk Strongman. Be well.